Hey guys, hope you are well. Put out a video last night on Gamestop and Wall Street Bets, and it's being watched by a lot of people. YouTube gives me the analytics on the back end so I can see it compared to other videos, and it's super popular. So people are really digging it. If you want to check it out, go to the George Gammon YouTube channel. But a lot of the comments, I have people saying that, oh, I just don't get Wall Street Bets. I just really don't understand. It's not a bunch of retail people trying to make money. They're martyrs. They're on a mission to show Wall Street who's boss and to take down the hedge funds and all these corporations that got bailed out during GFC. And it's time that the little guy stands up and fights the man and the hedge funds and Wall Street and these greedy bastards or these greedy SOBs. Okay. I see a lot of this in the comments. And the reason I wanted to do a video on this topic, because I think the market right now is at a point, and society is at a point where people are becoming more and more susceptible to, let's call it snake oilsmen or snake oil salesmen. They're becoming more and more susceptible to people who are more than happy to take advantage of them by telling them exactly what they want to hear. So, in my opinion, I mean, there's 3 million people on Wall Street Bets. So obviously you have a diverse group. But I would say the majority of the people there are there because they want to make a ton of money. And they know the more they can perpetuate the narrative that it's us against them, it's David against Goliath. We're going to take down these rotten hedge funds that have been the bane of our existence. And if we could just only eradicate Wall Street, we would get back to a free market where we need to be. Again, I get it. I mean, the narrative makes a lot of sense, but I don't think the majority of the people on Wall Street Bets are saying that because they have principles. I think the majority of the people are saying that because they want more and more people to come in and buy call options. And they want to make sure those people aren't selling their call options, or if they're buying the underlying stock, they want to make sure that they're not selling it. So I don't think, although the narrative I may agree with, or I mean, kind of not, but regardless of what you think of the narrative, I think the underlying motivation is not what we are led to believe. I'm sure there are some people on there that are there just because they're martyrs and they don't care how much money they lose. As long as hedge funds lose money at the same time, they don't care. I'm sure there's some people like that. I think they're very few. I think what's happening is that's the message, just to draw in as many retail investors. They want to draw as many people into the cause as they possibly can, because the more people they bring into the cause, the better it is for them financially. You see, and I see this happening not just with GameStop or Wall Street Bets. I see it happening with SPACs. It's the exact same thing, where these promoters are going out and they're pitching people who don't have a high degree of sophistication, and that they're trying to make themselves popular to the general public. So what they're doing is they're not going out and saying, here's what I believe. What they're doing is, prior to going out, they're asking themselves, what do I need to believe to get people to trust me? What do I need to believe to get people to like me? See, and then they just kind of write down what they need to believe, and that's how they present themselves. Now, behind the scenes, they probably believe maybe the complete opposite, but it doesn't matter. They're going to tell you whatever they think you need to hear in order to manipulate you to do what they want you to do. And one of the reasons I think this would apply to not all, but maybe many of the people in Wall Street Bets is because what is going on with GameStop right now is not hurting the hedge funds. It's not hurting Wall Street. Like, what are you talking about? Let me look at a 5-day chart. And this is a 5-day chart of GameStop. And let me get this out of the way here. So what they're implying is there are all these evil hedge funds that are short GameStop, and they're just using Wall Street manipulation and coercion and all these other nefarious things to drive the stock down. And they're taking naked shorts and all these things, but they're doing this to drive the stock down to whatever, $14 or $4 or wherever it was. And we're going to teach them a lesson. We're going to come in and we're going to make them go bankrupt, because power to the little guy. And we're going to do that by buying calls to force the stock higher and higher and higher. So what people who are relatively unsophisticated, what they believe is that as the stock goes higher, and I'm pointing this out like here and here and here, you're somehow sticking it to the man, like it's a zero-sum game, that as the stock goes higher, the average guy makes more money and the hedge funds lose money. That's not what's happening at all. That's like nonsense. That's total fake news. Let's think about this. Sure, there are maybe a couple hedge funds that were short down here, and yeah, I'm sure a couple of them got burned and they had to go out and borrow money to stay afloat. Great, but you don't think the other 1,000 hedge funds out there, or the guys that are on the trading desk at Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, are seeing this and not taking advantage of it? Like, are you crazy? They could be imitating someone in the Wall Street Bets just to put this narrative out there and further the narrative, as they themselves are buying calls. How do you know Goldman Sachs isn't buying calls right in here on the 26th? I mean, wouldn't you? If you were a trader at Goldman Sachs and your only job was to your P&L, that was it. I mean, aren't you buying calls right in here? And then let's take it to the next level. We're assuming that if the stock, let's say, and this is a great example right here. Yesterday, the stock goes from 468, and this is maybe a half-hour chart or something like that. 5-minute chart. So on the minute chart, it got up to 496, I believe, but we'll just say 468. And then look at this. So that's 9:55. Less than an hour and a half later, it's at 126. So you're telling me that because it's at 126 here, but yet it was at, let's say, 70 here or 14 a while ago, you're telling me that no retail investors have lost money on that? Like, are you kidding me? The retail guys are piling in right here, or maybe even piling in here to take it up to this level, and then it's crashing down to this level, sure, some of them are holding. Most of them are essing their pants and they're saying, holy, what did I just do? I just, bought all these, I just bought all this stock on margin or whatever. I maxed out my credit card. I've got to, and as soon as it gets down to like this level, they are panic selling, trying to find anyone to take these shares off them. And then they sell right around here and get their butts handed to them. Now, and I get it. There's probably a lot of retail guys and gals out there who are just hodlers or whatever. Like they're in it for the long run. They're going to hold it and they don't care if they lose money, or they might make money. And sure, a lot of them bought down here, and I'm sure some of them sold up here as well. But to think that all hedge funds are getting burned the higher the stock price goes, or that all retail investors are making money as the stock is going up with this massive, insane, unprecedented volatility, I just think is completely naive. And also, let's remember that those hedge funds get all the information, all the trade information from Robinhood prior to the trades being executed. Sure, it's just a millisecond or whatever, but these high frequency trader guys, they're front running all of the retail that's going into this. So it's just, trust me, at the end of the day, the Wall Street hedge fund guys will make way more money on aggregate total than the average Joe on the Wall Street bet things by the volatility that has been created in this move with GameStop. And I think the guys and gals who are sophisticated on the Wall Street bet form, they know this. They know this darn well. They know it. If I know it, they know it. But they don't care, because they're still going to tell you that it's a fight and we're taking down the hedge funds, even though they know the hedge funds are making way more money at this than any of the average Joes, because this is their business. They're pros, for heaven's sakes. But they don't care. They're just going to further that narrative because it's because they're making money. And it goes back to these promoters of the SPACs. They don't care about the retail guy. They don't care about any of that. They just go down their list of what they need to believe to get you to do what they want you to do. Why? Because they make money at it. And listen, when I was in St. Bart's talking to some real hedge fund guys that have actually made returns over decades, not being a promoter, not going on CNBC, but actually picking stocks and making bets, macro bets that have turned out and produced 20 and 30% returns consistently with nobody knowing about it, right? These guys they're the real deal. And you can tell just by talking to them. And the one thing they all say is that, listen, 95% of the people that you hear on CNBC, they don't have an edge. They have no edge. Their only edge is that they can sell you something. They're good salesmen, and they know that's their edge. But they know that they're inferior investors. And their game is something that they call AUM, assets under management. The more assets under management they have, the more fees they can collect. And if their fund goes up, that's their call option. They're getting paid. So it's like an inverse call option, where instead of paying a premium, you're being paid a premium of $20, $30 million a year just to have a call option on some wild bets that if they do pan out, you look like a genius and you get 20% of the upside. You see? So the more assets under management you have, the better. So if that's your only objective and you have no principles, you have no morals, you have no ethics, like I said earlier, you're just going to make a list of what you need to believe to have a maximum AUM. And then you're going to go out to the public, you're going to go on CNBC every single day, and you're going to further the narrative, and you're going to paint a picture of this person that you want people to believe you are, just to make sure you're maximizing assets under management. So, and the main point of this video, guys, is to realize that we are in a market with an incredible amount of emotion. Our society right now is incredibly emotional. We've locked people in their houses. We've taken away their way of life for now almost a year. Almost a year. We're encouraging people, and I'm not saying it's good or bad or whatever from a health standpoint, but we're wearing masks everywhere we go, so we can't see people smile. We don't have that human interaction, that connectivity. We don't have that social interaction. And at the end of the day, we're social creatures, right? We have our businesses going out of business while we see Wall Street going up to all-time highs, and all this madness and volatility and SPACs everywhere, and the Fed creating, all these new bank reserves, and in QE infinity and the government stimulus checks. We're getting into Mad Max territory right now. And my point is, make sure you understand that as an investor, one of your biggest weaknesses is your own emotions. Or one of your biggest, it's allowing yourself to get emotional and allowing yourself to just not think clearly, and instead of ignoring the noise, get caught up in it, right? And I don't want anyone watching this video right now to be manipulated. That's really the bottom line. And I just want you to try to think clearly, try to remain unemotional, try to take a step back and just tune out all of the noise. And if you're going to be investing now or in the long term, just forget making 1,000% returns, or forget Wallstreetbets, forget Gamestop. Just buy what's cheap and sell what's expensive, and ignore all of the nonsense.